Do 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 do. It's Chemdork.
Hello, everyone. This is Chemdork, and welcome to episode number 19 of Season 2 of the My Buildcraft series, where we play Minecraft with the mods Thermal Expansion, Forestry, and Buildcraft installed. So, guys, I kind of screwed up with episode number 19. As I was recording it, I realized that I recorded the episode way too long, lost track of time, and just was too into it to notice that I recorded quite a lot of footage. So I decided to split it up into two episodes. So episode number 19 is the first part of that, and episode number 20 is the second part. We're going to be working on automating some more bee stuff, and it should be pretty fun. So stay tuned, guys, for episode 19, and then, like I said, episode number 20 will be the second half. Alright, guys, see you in part 1. Ooh, a lot of butterflies here. So, we're here. We're where we usually are, which is somewhere in our base. In this case, we are looking over the bee and tree area, I guess. I guess that's what you would call it. Anyway, we've been having, or I've been having anyways, lots of fun with bees and trees and forestry, and this looks awesome, doesn't it? All those bees, that's awesome. Really like it up here. Love this little terrace I have going here. It's actually probably not big enough because I just want to keep on expanding with bees. You'll notice, you'll notice I just threw an apple on the ground. You'll notice that I expanded upon our automated apiaries. So we originally just had these guys, and now I have these. In fact, we originally just had, I think, these 5. I think I added on, maybe we just had 4. I think I added on 2. And then I, of course, added on all these. And then I added all these as well, although these guys aren't doing anything at the moment. As before, I'm kind of using this area to do manual breeding, but like I said, we have automated stuff going on right here. So we've been automating, and these work really well for automating the production of honeycombs and such. So this basically pulls out any items in the inventory automatically, which means any honeycomb or other combs that the bees make, or other items, I should say, that the bees make. When these bees die, that also means that the queen is pulled out as well as the drones that are made. These are both purebred bees, so they make purebred offspring. And then this apiarist pipe basically just kind of throws them back in. The purebred stuff, it throws them back in the apiary. If those bees don't fit, for example, in these, all the bees don't fit, it's set to throw the bees to the red side, which is this way, and they appear in this chest. So I have a bunch of just Meadows purebred, kind of crappy Meadows purebred drones here. I've started to do the same thing with some purebred cultivated that I have, but it turns out a lot of these aren't exactly cultivated. Purebred. They're pretty close, so that you end up getting cultivated, but I don't really gather drones here because they're not always exactly the right copy. So here I actually have truly purebreds. Sometimes I don't. So I'm actually generating a lot of pretty good cultivated drones there. But anyways, in that, by that token, in terms of generating lots of cultivated purebreds, that's something that I actually want to try out today. And this is something of a useful exercise, but it's also something of just sort of an interesting exercise. I just want to see if we can do it, which is we've automated the production of honey and other bee items. What about automating the actual breeding of bees? So I've been doing this manually. I've been trying to create like Diligent and eventually Noble and Imperial and that sort of thing. But what about doing the automated breeding to get me what I need? Which in the realm of bees, and I don't really actually need anything automated. As you see, I have tons of bees. But what would be nice if I had, I have even more bees down here. I have drones aplenty. How bee breeding works is basically for every one princess and one drone, you actually generate one princess all the time, and at least 2, usually 3 drones. And yeah, I got tons. Some are really kind of crappy, some are kind of good. Yeah, so I got a Majestic here. That's my kind of highest end. I have some Noble. Let's see, I have some Diligent, which I'm actually messing with now because I want Industrious. But basically, in terms of the usefulness of bees that you can breed, I actually want these guys, these cultivated purebreds. they're very useful because if you have cultivated, you can use them to breed a lot of the other branches. A lot of the other branches require a cultivated and something else. So yeah, you can look up on the wiki. I'm not really going to give you the answers to that because some people just like to find it out for themselves. But basically, I will tell you that when you mix forest and meadows together, you end up getting some common every once in a while. When you mix common with a forest and meadows again, you end up getting cultivated. So that's kind of how things start out, and then from there, you kind of mix and match and kind of play around. And that's kind of how I'll tell you. Now, that's not the whole story. That's not exactly everything there is to breeding, but if you know that much, you can sort of get started. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to turn these hives over here, these apiaries, into automated breeders of common bees, common purebred bees. That's our primary goal, and then secondarily, I'll probably try to expand upon that and improve upon that in ways in which we are sort of required to understand how breeding works a little bit. But for now, what I just told you about mixing forest and meadows together to get common, that's all we need to start with. It's a lot more complicated than that, but not too much more. But we could go into detail, but I think that might bore people, and we might just save that for next episode anyways. I want to build stuff. So let's do that this episode. So I've actually already, if we kind of knock out the ground here, you see I've actually dug up down here. I've dug up a little area, a little room here that I'm going to use for some of this automated breeding stuff, among other things. But there's the hives right there, all 5 of them. What we're going to be using today also are things that you guys... Oh, wait, I actually left my items upstairs that I wanted to use. Some things that you guys have mentioned that I should use in last episode, which is this little blue pipe right here. This is actually from the Forestry mod. It's called an insertion pipe. I knew about them actually just after I recorded the last episode. I kind of learned that they exist. And what we did over by the cactus farm, we actually made a little thing using Buildcraft items and a Buildcraft pipe gate and a Buildcraft iron pipe together, with a wooden pipe, I should say. That made basically what is an insertion pipe. It tries to put things into this chest. When this chest is full, it sends out a signal which changes the direction of the iron pipe. And kind of the insertion pipe does the same thing. So this insertion pipe, if it's next to an inventory, in this case the centrifuge, any item that enters it, it will try to put into that centrifuge. If it cannot, it goes to the other way. So it's a great way to do these item loops where you can guarantee that all your items will at least try to enter the inventory. So by the same token, I've also done the same thing over here to the seed oil producer. So here's another insertion pipe, which means that all these seeds will definitely go into this squeezer unless they can't fit. And yeah, so cool things. All right, let's go to sleep here. And while I do this, I will say, isn't it nighttime though? Yeah, it's totally night. There you go. I will say, guys, thank you, by the way, for last episode. You left me some comments wishing me a happy birthday, and because I recorded the last episode actually on my birthday. Whatever, we'll see it. So yeah, I had a great birthday, and really enjoyed seeing everybody's comments, so thanks a lot. And I did pose the question of guess my age to you guys, and I got some interesting responses. Some of you guessed a little high, some of you guessed a little low, some of you guessed very accurately, but not very precisely. So I think one person said 0 to 100, which is correct. I am within 0 to 100. A lot of you said in the 30s, which is also correct, and I'll just kind of tell you while we stare at these bees. Ooh, I like the different colors. It's I'm 32 years old. I don't remember if anyone actually guessed that exactly, but I am 32 years old. 3-2. So there you go. Mystery solved. A lot of you were actually pretty close, so I kind of figured that. We are humans. You sort of expect to know. You can gauge how old some other humans are. That's cool. All right, let's actually get into some breeding. But first, let me grab my stuff. Here's some stuff we're gonna need, and let's talk a little bit about breeding and how we might do this. Now, you might think at first it makes sense. What we're gonna do is just mix together forest and meadows and get common, right? You just do that, and it always happens. Not necessarily true. So, actually, I think I had some bees in here that I wanted to use for this. Yes. Okay, so I have two Meadows drones here. I'm just gonna kind of show you this first. It doesn't necessarily relate exactly to this, but it's worth talking about right now. So these are two Meadows drones. They are the same, right? Well, not really. So let's look at this Meadows drone in the Beealyzer, and you see, and this is just going to be basic bee genetics, like really basic. We're not going to go into what this means in terms of breeding, but you can kind of get the idea. So we have, this is a purebred meadows. What I mean by purebred is, you see where it says active and inactive? Both of them are meadows. Now, bees essentially have a full genome here, which is simulated, and they have simulated chromosomes. And these traits of the bees, they're all on separate chromosomes. Now, that's not exactly true because there are some traits that are linked. For example, with species, the traits that are linked with species are habitat, so that's climate and humidity, and what they produce. You will never be able to be a meadows drone, for example, that can produce royal jelly. So there you go, and that can live but you know, what is breedable is this temperature tolerance, and the humidity tolerance. But I digress. That's not really important for what we're going to talk about today. Let's just talk about and focus on the species. So for the bees, they actually have a full copy, a full sort of genome of chromosomes for all their traits, and they have like a secondary set, which is their inactive set. It's kind of like a lot of genes are for humans, although, you know, in humans it's a little more complicated, and other animals it's sometimes more complicated, sometimes just as simplified as this, but let's just keep it simple. So the bees, they follow Mendelian genetics, like basic Mendelian genetics. Some dominance and recessive things do exist, but for the most part, a lot of the species are just dominant, so it doesn't really matter. So if you know what I'm talking about because you know about genetics, that's cool. If you don't worry about it, not a big deal. But you just should know that one is active and one is inactive. So by that token, let's look at this bee. He is also meadows, but if you notice, for species, his active gene, his active chromosome is meadows, and his inactive is common. What this basically means is that he will act as a meadows drone now, but his offspring could get either the common gene or the meadows gene from this drone. And likewise, the offspring will get one of the princess's genes as well. So if the princess is meadows, that means that, you know, you could do the probabilities. And in the case of mutations, if this meadows drone is mixed with a forest, you actually can get a common. Now, you don't always get a common, you just sometimes that happens. So that's where chance comes into play, and probability. And that means that what we would really like to do is take these apiaries, and oh, that's right, I was going to actually show you by throwing down some apiaries. So what we'd actually like to do is take these apiaries and set them up. I'm just going to go up here just to show you some stuff. Yeah, you know what, let's just kind of put it right here. So we take this apiary, we actually want to put some bees in, a meadows and a forest in, mix them together, we'll get a collection of bees. Some will be what we want. We might actually get some purebred common, but more than likely we'll get mixtures of other genes and traits and hybrids of other things. So what we'd like to do is just take them all and throw them back in the apiary. Now that's cool, and that's fine, and we can actually do that, and we can do that in a very similar setup. So we can actually take a wooden pipe, for example. I don't have the gates on me at the moment, so I'm just not going to worry about that. We can take a cobblestone pipe, and then do the apiarist pipe again. And in this case, we'd be able to, let's put a cobblestone right here. So we'd probably say with this, there you go. So white is up, so we'd say, all right, we'll put any bees or in the white, but we'll put maybe in the red, we'll put, where the purebred? Purebred, common, right? And that's all we need, actually, because we filter out everything else. And maybe like extra bees we'll put in black or something because it goes down, and maybe items we can put black or something like that. Nice and easy, right? No big deal. Unfortunately, that may not work because what we're doing is we're taking the same bees and we're putting them back in. And what you can generate is purebred bees, and you can actually come to the situation where you actually generate these things, which are made to always cycle bees back into the hive and never get anything else. this setup can only ever get purebred meadows bees. So if we actually somehow stumble onto this, it will stop us from ever having the possibility of getting common bees. So I hope that kind of makes sense. So in order to decrease that chance, we use a bunch of apiaries, and what we can do is pull bees out of all of these apiaries like before, but have them all go to one sort of combined bee area, and then have the bees placed all the way back into the apiaries. And I'll kind of show you what I mean. So let's actually start this. Damn it, I needed to go back up there. Give me a second. And actually, we're not going to need as many apiarist pipes, which is actually a good thing, because they kind of cost a lot of propolis, which we don't have a great way of generating right now. Nothing too great, anyways. So let's put some wooden pipes here. We'll put the gates in later. In this case, what we'll actually have, and this is where we're going to use these suckers, we're going to have insertion pipes underneath the hives. And then we're going to basically take all of these wooden pipes. I think what I'm going to end up doing is, yeah, I'm going to probably put them like here. We're probably going to put some iron pipes here, put them all together, and then have these suckers run down. I'm going to use a gold transport pipes here just to get things moving along. Let's make sure they're all going in the same direction. So this is going correctly. This needs to be pointed that way, pointed that way, pointed that way. There you go. It's fine. Actually, this didn't need to be an iron pipe, but who cares? So everything will be pulled out and go down that pipe. And this pipe is going to go down to an area where we can actually sort bees very simply. We're going to do this like as simply as possible. So this should hopefully work. No problem. I actually don't know if it works because I haven't done it before, but it should work. So let's see. We'll put the gold pipe in, and then we'll build in a better functionality in this into this a little bit later. But for now, this is what we're going to end up doing. Yeah, whatever. Let's put an APRS pipe right here, and then we're going to have some sorting going on. So for princesses and drones, we're going to do two different things. For princesses, it's going to be actually really easy. Princesses are just going to go right back in. Now, it depends on what kind of princess, so I'm going to have an APRS pipe there, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to say for, I should be able to, there you go. So for blue, this is going to be princesses. They go blue. And then drones are going to go, I guess they're going to go to the left here, which is, you know what, let me just use stone. I'll use stone. So it's going to be green. So drones are going to go to the green. Princesses are going to go blue. I want to keep it simple here so that they can easily be sorted. And then items are going to go down. Yeah, I think that's black. Items are going to go down because we will actually get some honeycomb out of this. And then here, we're going to have this go up. Hopefully we can reach. Come on. There you go. All right, so this is going to be white. Is going to be, I guess, any bees. And then, where do we want it to go? I guess, like, down, maybe, is going to be, whoops. You know, I'm just going to go right. Yeah, I'm going to go to the right. So the blue is going to be princesses that are common. So that means that princesses will go here. If they're common, they go over here to get stored somewhere. If they're just normal princesses that aren't common, they go up. And they go up back to those insertion pipes, which will try their darndest to put them in the hives. The problem with this setup, that'll be very evident in a second, is that if we generate a common princess, note that, and hopefully one of these is actually done. You know what? Let me go to bed here. I'll be right back. Okay, back topside, and let's go to one of these. Okay, good. So you see what we get. We always get a princess, and we get 2 drones. We only ever get 1 princess, and we always get a princess. The thing to note with this, and I'm not going to tell you what this is yet, because it's just cultivated, but it could be cultivated something, but bleh, anyway. But the thing to note about this is that if we get a common princess, that means this hive, if we started out with, in this case, 5 princesses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, If one of these princess offspring is common, say this one, that means we'll only now have 4 princesses. We need to replace that princess. So in this system, we actually have to later on build in some sort of way of throwing back in a princess into one of these hives whenever we generate a common princess. And you'll see how we do that a little later. But just note for now that this is where the princesses go. Yeah, that's where princesses go. This is, recall, green is where the drones go. So the drones get sorted as well. Just as before, if they're common, they go somewhere else. For now, I'm not going to do any other sorting of drones, but know that later on I will actually have drones that I want to put back in preference to other drones. So basically, not all drones are going to give the same possibility of success for generating a common purebred bee. So I will want to throw in certain drones over others. But for now, we're not going to build that in until later. So in this first rendition of this the setup, we're not going to worry about that. But later we will. All right, so let's kind of get to this. I'm going to mess around for just a second here, get things a little bit sorted, and be right back. Haha, be right back. Get it? Oh my goodness, I love it. Love the puns. Love them! Okay. Alright, so here's what we're going to kind of do. I changed this, by the way. Items now go to the yellow, which is over here. We'll be doing the stuff with the items later. This top chest is the common princesses we're getting, and these will be the common drones eventually. I guess what we'll end up doing is putting... Yeah, we'll do it this way. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and that. And then actually what will be left is down here, I'm going to have a void pipe. Because basically, these are going to be 3 chests for drones. Later on, I will sort them, but for now, we're just going to put as many as we can into this first one, and then once this is full, they'll go to the second one. Once that's full, they'll go to the third one. Because we're going to generate a lot of drones. After a while, we're going to have a large excess. Now, these are actually going to be 3 different types of drones later on, but we'll get to that later in the next episode. For now, basically, any drones are going to go to the left, and... Oh, right, we're going to have them sorted out here. Okay, we're not going to do it using this pipe here. We're going to use a pipe... we're going to do one right here. Okay, so actually I'm going to put an iron pipe right here. Yes, we're going to put an iron pipe there. Everything goes to the left. Basically, this is a return for bees. Yeah, everything goes to the left there. And then what we're going to actually end up doing, and I might actually change the way this is doing this. Well, give me a minute, but otherwise it'll be fine. Yeah, and notice I'm not putting any gold pipes after the apiarist pipe because what I've noticed is that once a bee exits an apiarist pipe, it basically exits the pipe at the fastest speed. They kind of zing them off to where they're supposed to go, which is kind of cool. So here it's going to be no. So here it's going to be actually, if we right-click, it's going to be green is going to be any bees because at this point they're drones. And black is going to be drones that are common. Okay, and that's why they're going to go over here and eventually go right into there. Okay, so we won't generate a crazy amount of drones. We'll just generate some, but they'll be going there. So, but any drones that are common goes over here. Any princesses that are common go here. We'll build in the princess refill system probably over here. And we actually might need a little more room for this princess other system, but we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, it's actually getting kind of late, so we're not late here, but, you know, it's actually pretty late here. Well, no, it's not. Anyways, I'll be right back once I kind of sort this stuff out. Okay, guys, before we actually put into place the pipe logic that will be responsible for dispensing drones into our automated breeding system, I wanted to first go over the logic just to make sure everybody's clear on how this setup's going to work. So, this actually is simulating what we have. We have 3 chests. In our case, in the real world here, we have in our normal world, anyways, we have them full of drones, for example. We have them filling up top to bottom for drones, and what we basically want to have is them emptying out top to bottom. Now, in the end, these actually won't be filling up top to bottom, as I have alluded to. They're going to be filling up with each chest representing a different type of drone. But we'll go into that next episode. But for this episode, we want to make sure the mechanics are there. So we want to empty out the top chest first when the apiaries are calling to have drones be sent to them. We want to empty bees from the top chest first, followed by the middle chest, followed by the lower chest. So when this is empty, the middle chest will empty, and then when the middle chest is emptied, the bottom chest will empty. Okay, this is sort of the priority list that we're going to build in. This red wire is representing the apiary saying, I need drones. So when this red wire is on, it sends it to all 3 of these gates. Now, you used to be able to, in Buildcraft, you see this blue wire is running from this one to that one. You used to be able to just run whoop, whoop right there and kind of cross over the gates or the pipes. You kind of can't anymore, it almost seems. It's weird. But anyway, I don't know if it's graphically a glitch or whether it's actually true. But anyways, let's look and see what these are. So this is an autarchic gold AND gate. It's very important that it's an AND gate, because what basically has to happen is if it receives a red pipe signal, indicating that the apiaries need drones, and there's items in this inventory, it's going to send out an energy pulsar. If there's no items in the inventory, it's going to send out a blue pipe signal. So if this gate down here, this is a diamond AND gate, that's an autarchic gate. If it gets a red pipe signal and the blue pipe signal and there's items in the inventory, all 3 of these have to be true, it will send out an energy pulsar, so it will remove the items from the chest. If it's empty, it sends out a green pipe signal, and you kind of get the pattern here. If this gets a red and a green and there's items in here, it sends out energy pulsar. Cool? Alright, let's see it in action. So it should empty out the purple first, then the yellow, then the green. And that's indeed what we are seeing. So go, purple, go! And then at some point in time, blue's going to turn on, and now this is empty. Yellow's emptying out. Yellow has been emptied. Green is now emptying out. All right, cool. The problem we're actually running into, though, is I don't want the drones to empty out this quickly. So how can we change this system to make them empty out a lot slower? Well, we can actually do it this way. And I'll show you in a minute. I want a condition that's not true. Okay, energy pulsar. Yeah. What we're going to basically do is say if the pipe is empty and these other ones are true, then you energy pulse. And what that basically does, let me just put these back in. So this is purple. We're not going to put 32 and we're actually going to put less. We're going to put much less. We're going to put 8 in each one. We're going to put 8. 8, there you go, 8. Okay, and in this one we're also going to put 8. Okay, so we're going to put 8 in each one. That's fine. We're going to set this to, again, energy pulse if the pipe is empty. Okay, and then the last one we're going to only energy pulse as well if, again, the pipe is empty. Okay, so for this one, it's pipe is empty, gets both of these signals, and there's items in the inventory. Kind of the same thing here and there. And so you'll see what that does is this actually kind of meters out the items. 2 at a time if they're stacked. If they're not stacked, I found that this is actually a single item at a time. So it empties out pretty well, pretty readily. Actually, it's a little more than 2 at a time, it seems. Interesting. So there you go. It looks like it's about 8 at a time, but still it's slower. It's slower. So that's actually probably what we're going to do. So we're going to have this type of setup in our real world. And again, this switch is representing a signal from the apiaries. So we'll set this up and I'll be right back. Okay. got everything I need. Let's get started. Let's actually first start by putting a void pipe right here. This is to catch any of the extra bees that we have if we end up filling all 3 of these with drones, which we will eventually do. This will collect all the extra bees and basically get rid of them. No big deal. Who cares? So we're actually going to set this up just the same way as before. I think there might be a more efficient way of doing this, actually, in terms of not using as many diamond gates, but whatever, we're going to do it the exact same way. Because that way worked, and this way will too, then. So we know it will, so why not? Okay, so, and I'll show you what I mean. See how this doesn't connect? It used to connect. I don't know whether it actually doesn't connect or whether it's just sort of kidding. I'm not sure. Anyways, we had green going here and blue going here, and that's it. And then red is going to come from the apiaries up there. And we're going to put a structural pipe right here and use that to sort of grab our red wire. And red wire is going to go all the way under there through those insertion pipes, and we're going to put gates, pipe gates underneath those apiaries. And that's what we're going to use to tell these gates to send out a red signal when they need drones. Okay. And now we're going to set this logic. Okay, that should actually work just fine. No problems here. Okay, I'm right back, and we're topside again, and we actually got some more offspring. Okay, we can look at that later. For now, I want to actually put in these iron gates, which are going to tell, or basically are going to send a red pipe signal. I need the red pipe wire, and I think, yeah, so it's running there. It needs to run here, here, here. Oh, good, I can see it. That's nice and visible. Okay, and now I just need to say if this is missing a drone, send out a red pipe signal. It should be missing a drone. Doesn't have a drone. Is that only in place if there's a queen there? That's a possibility. Let me see something, because it doesn't work. That didn't work. I actually never did this before, so hopefully this works. Holy crap. If it doesn't, that's gonna screw everything. Okay, yeah. It's missing a drone because it already has a princess. So I guess it checks the princess first. And now it says no drone, and now it's sending out a pipe signal. So I guess it has to have a princess in it first. Oh, interesting. Didn't know that. I don't know if you guys know it either. Oh, I can't put this back. Okay, well, I'll have to deal with that later. Okay, that's actually good to know. It's just not going to send a signal out unless I need it to. Okay, missing drone, red pipe signal. 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 So that means if any one of these is missing a drone, it'll send out a red pipe signal asking for drones to be sent into the system. Once it gets a drone, it will turn off the request, and no drones will be sent. So that makes sense, right? Makes total sense to me. And then we're going to do it this way. We're going to put these Alt-R gates right here, just the standard ones, and set it to be items in inventory, energy pulsar. 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 And items in inventory, energy pulsar. So that's set up now. It's all just fine, and that's the basic handling of the drones that we're going to accomplish for this episode, where the apiaries call for drones. We're going to send them to the apiaries in a very orderly fashion. So that works out really well. Well, guys, that was part 1, so that's the end of episode 19. Sorry, that's all the time we have for it today. We'll be continuing on working to optimize and build in the automated princess restoration system, I guess replenishing system. We're here at, Butterfly Lake, I guess it should be called. It's right by the jungle that's in front of my base there. And there's tons of butterflies here. So we're back here. We started the episode here. We might as well end it. Lovely butterflies here. I wonder when they're going to actually make them useful, more than just pretty, in the Forestry mod. But right now, they're looking awesome. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in episode 20, where we continue and complete the first sort of part of our automation of the bee breeding. Awesome. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next episode.